Forget common sense. Forget logic. We've compiled 101 decisions so profoundly stupid, you'll question how humanity has even made it this far. Let's begin. 1. Soundproofing your car seems smart, right? Unless your method involves industrial-grade expanding foam. A guy in Britain decided to fill his car's entire chassis with the stuff to reduce noise. The foam, of course, expanded so much it warped the metal, shattered the windows, and buckled all 4 doors shut, permanently entombing his car. 2. When police in Germany pulled over a driver for erratic behavior, they found his car had no steering wheel. Instead, he had attached a metal pot lid to the steering column with a single clamp. He genuinely argued it was a perfectly safe and functional modification. Some people's creativity is just a crime scene waiting to happen. 3. A man in Florida, convinced an ATM was voice-activated, spent several minutes politely asking it for money. When the machine inevitably failed to respond, he got angry, started yelling at it, and then physically attacked the ATM. He was arrested for vandalism, having had a full-blown argument with the machine and losing. 4. Snowmobiles are for snow. This seems obvious, but a man in Minnesota, full of confidence, decided to try and ride his across a patch of open lake water to get to a party faster. He got about halfway before the machine lost momentum and sank like a stone, leaving him stranded in the freezing water. 5. To protest a 25-cent parking ticket, a man in Rhode Island paid the fine entirely in pennies, but to make his point, he coated every single coin in lard. This genius move not only made a huge mess, but also got him charged with malicious destruction of currency. He turned a tiny fine into a federal offense. 6. Getting stuck is a common fear for burglars. One man in California experienced it firsthand when he tried to squeeze through the grease vent of a closed Chinese restaurant. He was trapped for 2 days, covered in grease, until a passerby heard his faint cries for help. He was arrested and probably needed a long shower. 7. In a moment of pure, unfiltered genius, a man in Michigan attempted to rob a store with a boomerang. He threw it at the shopkeeper, missed, and the boomerang flew out the door, circled back, and hit him in the back of the head, knocking him unconscious. The police arrived to find him literally self-neutralized. 8. A woman in China decided to test the durability of her brand-new 6-figure Audi by repeatedly kicking it and hitting it with bricks at the dealership. Her logic? She wanted to make sure it was strong before she drove it off the lot. The dealership was not amused and presented her with a massive repair bill instead of the keys. 9. Desperate to win a radio contest, a woman in California drank nearly 2 gallons of water without going to the bathroom for a prize of a Nintendo Wii. She won the console, but died a few hours later from water intoxication. She literally traded her life for a video game system that was worth about $250 at the time. 10. A man sued himself for $5 million. After being arrested for burglary and drinking on the job, he filed a lawsuit against himself, claiming he violated his own civil rights by getting himself drunk. His brilliant legal strategy? He expected his homeowner's insurance to pay out the settlement. The judge was not impressed. 11. A gang member in LA committed a murder, then got a highly detailed tattoo of the entire crime scene on his chest. He was later picked up on an unrelated charge, and a sharp-eyed detective noticed the tattoo was a perfect roadmap of the unsolved murder. Some people keep a diary, others prefer permanent ink. 12. A man in Florida decided to light a powerful firecracker inside his parked car for fun. The explosion triggered the side airbags, which deployed with enough force to kick him out of the vehicle and trap his friend inside. Happy 4th of July, I guess. At least the car's safety features worked perfectly. 13. A self-taught rocketeer known as Mad Mike. Hughes built a steam-powered rocket to prove the Earth is flat. He launched himself 5,000 feet into the California sky. His parachute deployed too early and tore, and he plummeted back to Earth. He never got his proof, but he did prove gravity is very, very real. 14. Trying to evade police, a wanted man in England thought the best hiding spot was inside a giant snowman decoration at a Christmas market. His brilliant plan was foiled when a police dog, completely unimpressed by the festive disguise, sniffed him out in seconds. He was literally hiding in plain sight. 15. As a prank on his ex-girlfriend, A British plumber poured several bags of concrete mix down her toilet. He apparently failed to remember basic plumbing. The concrete hardened, destroying not only her pipes but the entire public sewer line on her street. His little joke caused over $100,000 in damages. 16. A homeowner in Sweden got drunk and decided the best way to trim the moss off his roof was with a ride-on lawnmower. He somehow got it up there, but then predictably lost control and rode it straight off the edge, crashing into his greenhouse below. The lawnmower did not survive. Neither did the greenhouse. 17. Some DIY projects should never be attempted. A man in England tried to repair a small leak in his metal boat using a lit blowtorch while standing in a puddle of gasoline that had leaked from the engine. The resulting fireball sent him to the hospital and the boat to the bottom of the harbor. 18. When you order something online, you expect it to be delivered. A drug dealer in Australia took this to a new level, mailing a package of narcotics to one of his customers. He forgot to add enough postage, so the post office sent the package back to the return address, which was, of course, his own house. 19. A dad-to-be in Arizona packed an explosive target for a gender reveal in bone-dry brush, touched it off, and started a wildfire that scorched 47,000 acres and cost millions. If your party needs an air tanker, your idea was terrible from the jump. 20. After getting fired, an airport baggage handler decided to get revenge by flushing his passport down a plane toilet. He apparently forgot that he was still on the plane, which was about to take off for his home country. He was arrested and had to wait for emergency travel documents stuck in the country he hated. 21. A woman tried to smuggle 51 live tropical fish into Australia, hidden in a special skirt. Her plan fell apart at customs when officials heard flipping noises coming from her waist. She was caught not by X-rays or dogs, but because her fish were just too damn loud. 22. Executing the perfect insurance scam requires brains. This guy in New Jersey had none. He decided to fake a slip and fall but forgot the crucial wet floor part. Realizing his error, cameras filmed him calmly grabbing a drink, pouring it on the ground, and then theatrically throwing himself into his own puddle. His lawsuit was not successful. 23. During a live TV interview about the dangers of knife crime, a police chief decided to demonstrate a stab-proof vest. To show his confidence, he had a reporter stab him. The knife went straight through a section that wasn't protected, sending the chief to the hospital. The demonstration was a bloody success. 24. A man in New York tried to get out of a DUI by eating his own breathalyzer test results. After blowing into the machine, he snatched the printout and started chewing. Police were forced to tase him to get him to stop. He was then charged with both the DUI and tampering with evidence. 25. Two brothers in Belgium decided to play a game of William Tell with a crossbow. One brother placed a beer can on his head. The other, standing just 15 feet away, missed the can and shot his brother directly in the forehead. Miraculously, he survived, but their family game nights were probably canceled forever. 26. A Florida man, angry about potholes, decided to take matters into his own hands by planting a banana tree in one. While it certainly drew attention to the problem, he was promptly arrested for criminal mischief and obstruction of a roadway. The road was fixed, but his criminal record was not. 27. A woman in Kentucky was arrested after trying to rob a Waffle House with a pitchfork. She demanded all the cash and waffles, but the employees just stared at her in confusion before one of them simply took the pitchfork away from her. She was held there until police arrived. 28. In 1912, a man named Franz Reichelt, a tailor, invented a wearable parachute suit. To prove it worked, he decided to test it himself by jumping off the first deck of the Eiffel Tower. It did not work. The entire thing was filmed, capturing one of history's most confidently stupid and fatal product demos. 29. A man in South Carolina called 911 because his brand new meth was not of a high enough quality, and he wanted the police to investigate the dealer who sold it to him. The police did investigate. They came to his house, tested his meth, confirmed it was meth, and then arrested him for possession. 30. Some criminals defeat themselves. A burglar in Minnesota broke into a house and decided to relax by putting on some music. He logged into his own Spotify account on the victim's smart speaker. When the homeowner returned and saw the mess, he simply asked the speaker, "Who was the last user?" and got the burglar's full name. 31. Planning a robbery requires stealth. This genius in Connecticut decided his master plan involved calling the store beforehand to ask how much money was in the register. The employee, obviously suspicious, called the police, who were waiting for him when he arrived, mask and all. 32. Forgetting where you parked your car is annoying. Forgetting you parked your multi-million-dollar Bitcoin fortune on a hard drive you threw away is a whole other category of pain. A man in Wales has spent years trying to get permission to excavate a landfill to find a hard drive he tossed in 2013, now worth hundreds of millions. 33. To remove a small tree stump from his yard, an Oregon man decided the appropriate tool was half a case of dynamite. The resulting explosion not only vaporized the stump, but also sent a massive dirt clod flying that crushed his neighbor's brand new car. Mission failed successfully. 34. A man in Oregon sued Michael Jordan and Nike for $832 million. His reason? He claimed he was constantly being mistaken for the basketball legend, and it caused him emotional distress. The judge, shockingly, was not convinced that this was Jordan's fault and dismissed the case immediately. 35. A guy hired a banner plane to fly his angry message over City Hall, then forgot basic aviation, fuel, and wind. The banner wrapped around the tail, he made a panicked field landing, and paid fines plus damages. Protest made, wallet protested louder. 36. A British man tried to get a refund on a broken Xbox by calling in a bomb threat to the Microsoft warehouse where it was being repaired, hoping to get a new one faster. Instead of a new console, he got a visit from the anti-terrorist squad and a prison sentence. 37. When a thief in Washington tried to steal a traffic light pole from a street corner, he tied it to his small pickup truck and hit the gas. The pole, being professionally installed in concrete, did not move. His truck's bumper, however, was ripped clean off, left dangling at the scene with his license plate still attached. 38. A man in Washington state, upset with his noisy neighbors, decided the most rational response was to build a full-scale medieval trebuchet in his yard and launch projectiles at their house. While impressive from an engineering standpoint, it's generally not considered an approved method of conflict resolution. 39. A counterfeiter marched into a big box store and tried to pay with a novelty $1 million bill, insisting it was real because the paper felt money-ish. Loss prevention gave him a much more authentic experience with handcuffs and a trespass ban. 40. A woman in Ohio called 911 in a panic because she was trapped inside her unlocked car. She tried the handle multiple times, but the door wouldn't open. The dispatcher patiently asked if she had tried pulling the handle after unlocking it. There was a long pause, followed by a quiet, "Never mind." 41. After he quit, a Georgia mechanic found 91,500 oil-coated pennies dumped on his driveway as a final paycheck. He spent hours scraping sludge, then the labor department made the shop pay him properly anyway. The boss bought himself fines and a viral PR disaster. 42. A man in Brazil tried to rob a martial arts dojo filled with professional fighters. He walked in, pulled a toy gun, and demanded their valuables. The head instructor calmly told him he was in the wrong place. The robber didn't listen. He left on a stretcher with several broken bones. 43. To get rid of a cockroach infestation, a resident of an apartment building in Brazil lit a can of bug spray on fire and threw it under his car. The resulting explosion destroyed his car, damaged 7 others, and blew out windows in the entire building. The cockroaches probably survived. 44. A man in Germany tried to pay his taxes with a check drawn on a t-shirt. He wrote out all the necessary information on a plain white tee and mailed it to the tax office. Officials were not amused and charged him with tax evasion, proving the IRS does not appreciate high-concept fashion. 45. If you see a kangaroo, the correct response is to keep your distance. A tourist in Australia decided the correct response was to challenge it to a boxing match. The kangaroo accepted the challenge, delivering a series of powerful kicks that left the man bruised, humiliated, and a star of a viral video. 46. A man trying to steal a can of beer from a convenience store decided the best way to conceal it was by stuffing it down his pants. Unfortunately for him, the can had a faulty tab and exploded from the pressure and body heat, creating a very obvious, very cold mess. He was easily caught. 47. A man in Washington, D.C. sued a local dry cleaner for $54 million for losing his pants. The case dragged on for 2 years, clogging up the court system and costing him his job as a judge. In the end, it was discovered the pants were at the dry cleaner the whole time. He lost the case and his career. 48. A woman in Canada, annoyed that her flight was delayed, called in a fake security threat against her own plane, hoping it would get her to her destination faster. The flight was, of course, cancelled entirely, and she was arrested and banned from flying with that airline for life. 49. In 1932, the Australian military, armed with machine guns, officially declared war on 20,000 emus that were damaging crops. The problem? The emus were tactical geniuses, scattering and dodging bullets. After weeks of being outsmarted by giant birds and wasting tons of ammo, the army officially withdrew in defeat. 50. A prisoner in a West Virginia jail thought he had a brilliant escape plan. He covered himself in peanut butter, hoping it would disguise him from thermal cameras, and climbed onto the roof. He was immediately spotted by guards with their own eyes and recaptured. His plan was, quite literally, nuts. 51. Buying a brand new Porsche is an amazing feeling. Watching it slowly roll into a river because you forgot the parking brake while trying to wash it? That's a slightly different feeling. One man in China learned this expensive lesson firsthand, turning his first car wash into a full submersion. 52. To test if his pepper spray was the strong kind, a Colorado man blasted it into a box fan aimed at his face. He staggered around the street begging for milk, learned about aerosol physics in real time, and met the officers his neighbor had already called. 53. Using a lifeline on the very first question of who wants to be a millionaire is embarrassing. The question was, a bear is a mammal, bird, reptile, or insect? The Italian contestant's friend confidently advised, reptile. He followed the advice and went home with nothing. Some friends are just built different. 54. How do you handle a beehive in your shed? You could call a professional, or you could do what a guy in Texas did, throw a Molotov cocktail at it. The resulting firestorm eliminated the bees, the shed, his truck, and a good portion of his house. Problem solved, I guess. 55. Faking your own death for the insurance money is a classic scam. The key part is staying fake dead. A British man who staged a drowning was found 5 years later after an amateur sleuth on a missing persons website recognized him. Busted by a hobbyist. That's gotta sting. 56. Revenge art backfired in Arizona when a woman keyed cheater across the hood of a white sedan she swore was her ex's. Wrong model, wrong level of the garage, very right security cameras. She was arrested while trying to run down the up escalator. 57. Stealing a 3-ton marble statue from a university campus is an ambitious college prank. The students who pulled it off quickly ran into a problem. What now? Panicked by their massive, useless prize, they ended up just dumping it in a river. The perfect crime, with zero payoff. 58. A fugitive commented, "You'll never catch me," under his own wanted post on Facebook, then kept bantering with the sheriff's office. He showed up at the station to clear things up, posed for a new profile picture, and left with fingerprints and a court date. 59. To win a local weirdest object contest, a man in Croatia brought a live, unexploded anti-tank mine. He placed it right on the judge's table. The bomb squad was called, the town square was evacuated, and he was arrested. For the record, he did not win the contest. 60. Deep frying a turkey indoors is already a bad idea. Doing it on a wooden deck in a fryer that's way too small is a recipe for total disaster. One woman's Thanksgiving dinner quickly escalated into burning down her entire house. I hope she at least saved the gravy. 61. Why wait for a drawbridge when you can just jump it, Dukes of Hazzard style? A Florida man gave it his all, flooring his car towards the ever-widening gap. He didn't make it. The plunge into the river below was probably not the shortcut he was looking for. 62. Forgetting to study for a final exam is stressful. Writing all the answers on 3 giant watermelons and trying to discreetly consult them during the test. That's just performance art. A student in Ohio was caught, failing the exam and likely ruining watermelons for himself forever. 63. Trying to rob a bakery with a knife seems intimidating until you meet a 70-year-old grandmother who just laughs in your face. After being told to get out, one humiliated robber in England apologized and then tried to buy a loaf of bread. She refused to serve him. 64. After a few too many drinks, legally changing your name to Celine Dion online seems hilarious. Waking up to the official documents in the mail weeks later with no memory of doing it is a different story. A man in Wales now has to live with his drunken decision forever. His heart will go on. 65. Stealing a bike locked to a pole is tough. So, a man in Portland brought a power saw, not for the lock, but for the entire metal pole. The spectacle of a guy loudly cutting down city property drew a crowd, including the police, long before his master plan could succeed. 66. Some emergencies are more urgent than others. For one woman in Michigan, getting the wrong pizza toppings was a 911-level crisis. She demanded police action against the delivery driver. The dispatcher had to calmly explain that the pizza police department, sadly, does not exist. 67. Wearing a mask during a bank robbery is standard procedure. However, it's less effective if you have such a distinctive voice that the teller recognizes you as a regular customer. A German robber was arrested later that day trying to deposit the stolen money into his own account at the same bank. 68. What do you do if you genuinely believe you're a vampire? Apparently, you break into a stranger's apartment, stand over her bed, and just start hissing. That's what one Canadian man did, later telling police he was just trying to say hello. Some greetings are better left unsaid. 69. A garden gnome can be a cheerful decoration. Or, if you're a man in Scotland, it can be a menacing figure that stares at you. His response was to kidnap the gnome, take it on a cross-country road trip, and send hostage photos to its owner before destroying it. He was later charged. 70. Driving with your knees is dumb. Driving with your knees while talking on your phone without a seatbelt is dumber. Doing all of that while eating a bowl of cereal and milk? An Australian man achieved this trifecta of stupidity, getting caught on camera in a moment of pure, breakfast-fueled chaos. 71. Hiding from police, a genius flipped a kiddie pool over himself in a backyard and crouched like a turtle. The helicopter's thermal camera saw a perfect man-shaped heat dome. Ground units lifted the pool and found a very surprised, very captured adult. 72. Some social media trends are just natural selection in action. Take the outlet challenge, where you drop a penny on a partially plugged-in charger. A Massachusetts teen did this, causing a massive electrical surge that blew out sockets and started a fire. All for a few seconds of viral fame. 73. To create the ultimate 4th of July weapon, a man duct-taped a bunch of lit Roman candles to a leaf blower. His rapid-fire firework machine gun worked for about 3 seconds before the whole thing backfired, shooting fireworks directly at him, his friends, and his house. 74. Leaving evidence is a rookie mistake. Leaving a photo of yourself in a prison uniform with your name on it is next-level stupid. A burglar in South Carolina did just that, dropping the photo as he fled. Police didn't need Sherlock Holmes to crack this case. 75. The heist of the century this was not. 3 people stole a live horn shark from the San Antonio Aquarium by wrapping it in a wet blanket and smuggling it out in a baby stroller. They were caught after leaving a massive trail of dripping salt water all the way to the parking lot. 76. To get revenge on his cheating partner, a man bought a massive highway billboard to expose the affair, complete with a picture and a personal story. In his rage, he misspelled both her name and the name of the man she cheated with, creating a confusing, expensive, and ultimately hilarious monument to his own poor proofreading. 77. Believing a con man is one thing. Believing a con man who's trying to sell you the Eiffel Tower is a whole other level of gullible. In 1925, a scrap metal dealer named André Poisson fell for it, paying a huge sum for the rights to dismantle the landmark. The con man just took the money and vanished. 78. Spiders in your laundry room are a nuisance. The solution is not, however, to spray them with gasoline and light it on fire. A Seattle man learned this when his small-scale pest control effort engulfed his entire house in flames. He escaped, but the spider's fate remains unknown. 79. What's better than a bouncy castle? A bouncy castle on a rooftop, apparently. Some party-goers in Russia decided to haul an inflatable castle onto the roof of a 3-story building. A gust of wind promptly blew it off, sending several people to the hospital. Gravity always wins. 80. The best place to hide from the police is somewhere they'll never look. A life-size teddy bear is not that place. A teenager in England, on the run from the law, was found hiding inside a giant stuffed animal after police noticed it appeared to be breathing. 81. To skip a long line at a phone store, a man in China faked a massive theatrical heart attack, collapsing on the floor. Paramedics rushed to the scene, but when they tried to help him, he miraculously recovered and sprinted to the front of the now empty queue. He was promptly arrested. 82. Suing God is a bold legal strategy. A Nebraska state senator actually filed a lawsuit against God, seeking an injunction to stop him from causing natural disasters. The judge dismissed the case, not because it was insane, but because God failed to be served with the lawsuit, having no official address. 83. A shortcut is only a shortcut if it works. A driver in Wisconsin, tired of traffic, decided to take a shortcut across a frozen river. His 2-ton vehicle broke through the ice almost immediately. He escaped, but his car remained at the bottom of the river, a monument to impatience. 84. A Dutch romantic lit up a lakeside proposal with fireworks fired from a drone. The drone clipped a tree, crashed into the canal with the ring, and he dove in after it. Bystanders pulled him out, the ring sank, and the engagement began with a salvage bill. 85. There's a big difference between a road and a boat launch. A tourist in Iceland, blindly following her GPS, failed to notice that difference. She drove her SUV straight down a ramp and into the freezing Atlantic Ocean. She told rescuers the GPS was very insistent. 86. Robbing the gas station where you work is already dumb. Robbing it while you're still clocked in and wearing your employee uniform is a special kind of stupid. A man in Florida did exactly this, then tried to act surprised when the police showed up and arrested their only suspect. 87. The dream of free travel is universal. In 1965, an Australian man tried to achieve it by mailing himself from London to Perth in a wooden crate. The flight was diverted and he was left upside down in a hot hangar for hours, nearly dying. He arrived, but not in the condition he'd hoped for. 88. If you're going to break the law, maybe don't live stream it. A woman in Florida was so proud of her drunk driving skills that she broadcasted it on Periscope. Viewers repeatedly told her to stop, then started calling 911. Police used her own stream to track her down and arrest her. 89. You should never use a vacuum cleaner to handle flammable liquids. It's written on the side of the machine. One man decided to ignore that warning, using a shop vac to suck up spilled gasoline in his garage. The resulting explosion from the motor's spark cost him his garage and his eyebrows. 90. Stealing an entire ATM sounds like a great idea until you get it outside. A team of geniuses in Texas successfully ripped a machine from a wall, only to realize it weighed nearly 1,000 pounds and wouldn't fit in their minivan. They abandoned it in the parking lot and fled empty-handed. 91. Trying to get a tan everywhere is a noble goal. A man in Italy thought he'd found the perfect solution: a DIY tanning bed made from a sun lamp and an entire roll of aluminum foil. He ended up basically microwaving himself, suffering severe burns and learning a hard lesson about reflective surfaces. 92. When a man in Ohio found a live grenade while magnet fishing, he did what any rational person would do. He drove it to a Taco Bell parking lot and called the police from there. The decision to bring an active explosive to a popular fast food joint baffled the bomb squad and probably violated some health codes. 93. Hiding from the police requires blending in. One genius in Miami, fleeing on foot, thought his best bet was to stand perfectly still against a vibrant, abstract street mural, hoping to become part of the art. His bright blue sneakers and modern clothes didn't quite match the painting's cubist style. Police found him after a passerby pointed out that one of the figures in the mural was sweating profusely. 94. A woman in China was so determined to avoid paying for an extra plane ticket that she tried to smuggle her pet turtle through airport security by disguising it as a KFC hamburger. X-ray operators were not fooled by the oddly shaped burger and found the reptile tucked inside the bun. 95. In an attempt to create a viral video, a British YouTuber cemented his own head inside a microwave oven using a plaster-like filler. The prank went wrong when he couldn't get it off and started having trouble breathing. It took a team of firefighters over an hour to carefully free him. 96. To protest a fine for his dog barking, a man in Sweden paid the fee by mailing the court a hand-drawn picture of a bird. The court, in a legendary move, sent it back with a note saying, "This drawing is not a valid form of payment." He was then forced to pay the fine with actual money. 97. A man in Florida, upset with his roommate, decided to get revenge by gluing all of his roommate's belongings to the ceiling. This included his bed, dresser, and television. While the visual was impressive, he was arrested for criminal mischief and had to pay for all the damages. 98. There are good hiding spots, and then there's the inside of a running dishwasher. A man in Florida, attempting to flee from police, crammed himself into a dishwasher to hide. He was immediately found when an officer searching the kitchen simply opened the door. 99. A man in Pennsylvania tried to rob a bank armed with a can of SpaghettiOs. He threatened to detonate the bomb unless the teller handed over cash. The teller, unimpressed by the canned pasta threat, just stared at him until he got nervous and ran away. 100. A tourist in Italy, annoyed that his rental Fiat Panda wasn't flashy enough, decided to drive it down Rome's historic Spanish steps. The 18th century landmark was not designed for cars. He caused permanent damage to the steps and was promptly arrested, earning a lifetime ban from the site. 101. You've heard of dumb criminals, but what about a dumb victim? A man in Brazil was being robbed at gunpoint when his phone rang. It was his mom. He not only answered the phone, but proceeded to argue with the robber, telling him to be quiet so he could hear his mother. The robber was so baffled he just took the phone and left. So there it is. 101 reminders that a brain is a terrible thing to waste. Now for the real question, should there be a basic intelligence test to earn the right to make your own major life decisions? Tear that idea apart in the comments below. If these stories made you feel like a genius by comparison, a like is mandatory. Subscribe for more proof that common sense ain't so common.